I didn't grow up imagining I would tell this story to strangers. For a long time I kept it to myself because I was ashamed, and because it makes me look naive, and because it involves someone I used to love so much that I thought love alone could fix a person. But I've realized that sometimes telling a story is the only way to stop carrying it like a secret. So I'm just going to tell it the way it happened, with the parts I wish weren't true. I was 27 when I met Daniel. At that time, everything in my life felt like it was almost something, but never quite there. I had a decent job at a small marketing agency, but it wasn't what I studied for. I had an apartment that was almost nice, except the elevator broke every other month, and the neighbors argued loud enough for anyone in the stairwell to hear. I had friends, but most of them had moved in with boyfriends or had babies, and I was in that in-between place. Not a student anymore, not quite settled. I wasn't miserable, but I wasn't excited either. And then, my ex Mark got engaged. I found out because his sister still followed me, and she posted a picture. I don't even know why it hurt. We hadn't spoken for over a year. But I saw it, and it was like someone pressed their thumb right into the part of my chest that never totally healed. I remember I threw my phone on the bed and just sat on the floor, in the dark, mad at myself for caring. That same week, on a Thursday, I stayed late at work. It was raining, one of those cold rains that makes the city smell like wet metal. I missed my bus and decided to walk the 2 stops to the tram. I was tired, my umbrella kept flipping inside out, and I was scrolling on my phone, not really paying attention to people around me. I crossed near the station, not at the crosswalk, because there were no cars, and the next thing I heard was the sharp blast of a horn and someone yelling, "Hey!" A bike messenger. I didn't even see him. Almost hit me. I would have fallen backward if someone hadn't grabbed my arm hard. I stumbled, my bag fell, and I was ready to yell back. But then I saw him. He was holding my arm with both hands like he wasn't sure I was steady. Dark jacket, damp from the rain, hair pushed back, a little scruff. But the thing I noticed first was his eyes. Really focused, like he was making sure I was okay. Not just doing the polite, "You good" thing, he said. That was close. "Are you all right?" I said, "Yeah." "Yeah, I just wasn't looking." I laughed, that embarrassed laugh you do when it's your fault. He bent down, picked up my bag, put it back on my shoulder. "You should let people save you once in a while," he said. "Keeps things interesting." I smiled. "Do you do that a lot?" "What? Rescue distracted women in the rain?" he said. "Only on Thursdays." That made me laugh for real. He walked me to the tram stop, even though his direction was the other way. We talked. His name was Daniel. He worked in IT. The boring kind, he said. He lived 2 neighborhoods away. He wasn't trying too hard, but he was present. You know how some guys are half in the conversation and half on their phones? He wasn't like that. He asked where I worked. I told him. He said, "So you're creative." Like it was a compliment. When the tram came, I said, "Thanks for saving me." He said, "Maybe you can save me next time." Then he hesitated just a second, like he wasn't sure, and said, "If you want to get coffee sometime." I don't know why I said yes so easily. I think it was because that day I'd been thinking about Mark getting engaged, and I was tired of feeling like the one who got left behind. I said, "Yeah, I'd like that." He typed his number in my phone. "Text me so I have yours," he said. I did it right there." He waved, turned, and walked away in the rain. I texted him on the tram, just, "This is the girl you rescued from her own clumsiness." He sent back a smiley, and, "Friday 7? There's a place near Central. We met. It was good. Not fireworks falling from the sky, not movie level, but solid. Easy." He listened. He asked about my family. I told him my mom lived 2 hours away, and my dad had left when I was 10. He said, "That must have been hard." I said, "I'm over it." He said, "People say that when they're not." I liked that he noticed. We started seeing each other 2-3 times a week. He cooked. I didn't know men my age actually made real food. He'd text me in the afternoon, "Come over, I made pasta." Or, "Movie tonight? I got the good ice cream." He didn't play games, didn't disappear for days, didn't make me wonder. It felt like I could finally start relaxing. After about 2 months, he met my best friend, Lisa. After he left, she said, "Okay, I approve. He looks at you when you talk. Keep him." I did. We were together a year when he suggested moving in. My rent was going up. His place was bigger, nicer, better location. I hesitated. I had moved in too fast with Mark once, and it ended badly. But Daniel said, "Look, we already spend 5 nights a week together. It's the same thing, except cheaper, and we don't have to say goodbye." He was right. Living together was comfortable. He woke up earlier than me, made coffee, left a cup for me with a note sometimes. We cooked on Sundays. We watched dumb shows. We fought occasionally, but nothing scary. I remember thinking, this is how it should be. Not dramatic, not chaotic. There were, looking back, tiny things. But you don't see tiny things when you're happy. Like, sometimes he'd get a message and turn his phone face down. Not every time, just sometimes. If I asked, he'd show me. It was usually a colleague or his mom. Sometimes he'd say, "Work stuff, boring." He wasn't secretive in an obvious way, and he wasn't shady with women. I never saw flirty texts, never smelled perfume. So I ignored it. Another thing, every few months, he'd have these days where he was quiet, not angry, just somewhere else. I'd ask, "You okay?" He'd say, "Just thinking." Once he said, "I don't want to mess this up." I said, "You're not." He hugged me hard, like he was relieved. We got engaged in the simplest way. We were on the couch watching something, and he paused it and said, "I don't want to be your boyfriend when we're 40. I laughed. "Okay." He said, "I want to marry you." He didn't even have a ring yet. He just asked. I said yes so fast I didn't even process it. We got married 6 months later in a small ceremony. My mom cried. Liza cried. His mom hugged me and said, "Thank you for loving my son." I thought, this is my family now. The first year of marriage was, honestly, good. We weren't rich, but we were stable. We took a trip. We talked about kids someday. I felt safe, which was new for me. Then one Wednesday night, 2 years into our marriage, everything changed. And not in the dramatic, stormy argument way. It started boring, like most real problems. He was in the shower. My phone was charging in the bedroom. His phone buzzed on the table, loud, because the kitchen was quiet. I didn't go looking for it. It just lit up in front of me. The name said, Emma, school. I almost ignored it, but school? We didn't have a kid. We didn't have nieces or nephews close by. And it wasn't a work name. The message preview said, "He's asking if you're coming tomorrow. Said he misses you." I froze. I stared at the screen, and I swear the whole room started to sound like it was underwater. He's asking if you're coming tomorrow. Said he misses you. Who was he? I looked toward the bathroom. I could hear the shower running. I picked up the phone. It wasn't locked, or he hadn't changed his code, because the face unlock recognized him earlier, and it was still unlocked. I opened the message thread. There were other messages, not a lot. Nothing too obvious, but enough. Emma, parent meeting is at 10. Emma, I can tell him you're busy. Emma, he's getting taller. Emma, he really liked the car you brought him. The last one before this said, he was sad you couldn't make it today. My heart was pounding so hard my hands were shaking. I scrolled up to the top of the conversation. The very first message was months ago. Not days, months. I heard the shower stop. I locked the phone, put it down exactly where it was, and sat there, staring at nothing. My brain was running, but my body was calm. I didn't know what I was supposed to be mad about yet. I didn't know if this was cheating or lying or something else. All I knew was, my husband was getting messages about a child who missed him. He came out, hair wet, towel around his waist. "Hey, you still up?" he said. Then he saw my face. "What's wrong?" I said. "Who is Emma?" He blinked. It was too fast. That blink, like a reflex. "Emma? At work?" he said. I said, "No. Emma. School." He froze. People talk about catching someone in a lie like it's rage. I didn't feel rage at first. I felt confusion, because I couldn't reconcile the man who made me coffee, who held me when I cried about my dad, who said he didn't want to mess this up, with a man who was hiding something this big. I said, "Whose child is asking for you?" He didn't answer. I said it again, slower. "Whose child is asking for you?" He sat down across from me, still in the towel, water dripping on the floor. He put his hands on his face. "I was going to tell you," he said. I laughed, but it came out like a cough. "When, Daniel?" "When he turns 18. He said, 'Please, let me explain.' I said, 'Is it your child?' Silence. 'Is it your child?' I repeated. He nodded. So small I almost didn't see it. Something cold slid down my spine. "You have a child." He said, "I didn't have him. I mean, he's not. It was before you. That part mattered, and it didn't. Before me. Okay. But we were married now. Married people don't hide entire humans." "How old is he?" I said. 5. He whispered, 5. I stood up. 5? "Daniel, we've been together almost 4 years. He said he was born right before we met." I didn't know at first. His mother. I said, "His mother is Emma?" He said no. He rubbed his eyes. "No. Emma is his teacher. I asked her to text me if he needed anything, if there were meetings. I told her his mom was busy. I didn't want—" "You didn't want me to find out," I said. He looked up at me, and I'd never seen him look so small. "I didn't want to lose you." I sat back down because my legs felt weak. "Start from the beginning," I said. "All of it. Right now." He took a deep breath. "Okay," he said. "But please, please remember I love you." I almost screamed. "Don't start with that." Tell me the truth." He nodded. "Before I met you," he said, "I was seeing someone. Very casual. We weren't serious. We didn't even define it. She got pregnant, she told me. I didn't handle it well. I said I wasn't ready. She said she'd do it alone. We argued. Then she said she didn't want anything from me. She moved to another part of the city. I felt bad, okay? I did. I checked in sometimes. I sent money once. Then I met you. And with you. It was like a second chance. I didn't want to bring all that mess into this. I didn't want you to think I was that guy. I said, you were that guy." He swallowed. "When he was 3, he said. She called me. She said she was moving abroad. She'd met someone. She asked if I wanted to be involved now, or she'd leave, and I might not see him. I panicked. I said yes. I met him. He's amazing. I can't describe it. I felt like I'd done everything wrong until that moment. I started seeing him, quietly, once a week, sometimes more. While we were together, I said. Yes, he said quickly. But I wasn't cheating on you. I wasn't seeing her. I was seeing him. I stared at him. Do you hear yourself? I said. You had a whole second life. I just wanted time, he said. To tell you in a way that wouldn't scare you. You told me about your dad leaving. I was afraid you'd see me like him. I was crying now. I didn't even realize. You should have trusted me, I said. I know, he said. I know. I was going to tell you. I almost did so many times. Why didn't you? I asked. Because every time I looked at you, he said, you looked happy. That broke me a little, because I had been happy, and he'd taken that happiness and put it next to a lie, like 2 pictures in the same frame. I said, I want to meet him. He looked up, shocked. What? I want to meet him, I said. If I stay in this marriage, I'm not going to be the stupid wife who doesn't know her husband has a child. He said, you want to stay? I don't know, I said honestly. Right now I want to scream. But I want to meet him. He nodded slowly. Okay, he said. Okay. I can ask Emma. We can go tomorrow. He thinks I'm away for work, but I can say my plans changed, I said. And his mother? Where is she? He sighed. She moved, he said. She's not in the country now. She left him with her sister for a while, but it wasn't working. I stepped in. I didn't want to tell you until I was sure I could provide. I stared. So you're telling me, I said, that for months, while we were planning our future, you were already a father. Yes, he said, eyes wet. I'm sorry. I slept in the guest room. I didn't sleep much. I kept thinking about a 5-year-old boy who knew my husband, but didn't know me. I kept thinking about all the Sundays I could have been there. I kept thinking how I could have loved him if I'd known. The next day, we went. It was a normal school. Kids running, parents talking. My stomach was in knots. Daniel talked to a woman at the front. Emma, I recognized from her picture. And she smiled at him like she knew him well. Then she saw me, and her smile shifted to professional. You must be... She started. I'm his wife, I said. Her eyes widened for a second. She covered it quickly. It's nice to meet you, she said. He's inside. I'll bring him. Daniel squeezed my hand. Thank you, he murmured. I didn't squeeze back. Then I saw him. He ran out of the classroom, small and fast, eyes bright, cheeks flushed from playing. "Daddy!" he yelled. He ran straight to Daniel and jumped, and Daniel lifted him up like he'd done it 100 times. My chest hurt. "Hey, buddy," Daniel said, kissing his hair. "I missed you." "You said you were on a trip," the boy said. "My trip ended early," Daniel said. "I wanted to see you." Then the boy saw me. He looked at me with curious, open eyes. "Who's she?" he said. Daniel looked at me. This is Maya," he said. "She's very special to me." I swallowed. I crouched down so I was on his level. "Hi," I said, smiling even though I wanted to cry. "I'm Maya. I've heard a lot about you." He smiled shyly. He had Daniel's eyes. In that moment, I hated Daniel. Not because of the boy. The boy was innocent, perfect. But because he had stolen from me the chance to meet him earlier, to watch him grow, to be there, to choose. We spent an hour there. We played. The boy showed me his drawing. He talked about cars. He asked if we could all go to the park someday. I said yes before I even thought. When we left, I was quiet. Daniel drove. Finally, I said, "I could have loved him." Daniel's hands tightened on the wheel. "You still can," he said. I looked out the window. "You didn't trust me," I said. "You decided for me. You decided what I could handle." He said I was scared. I said I was scared of marriage. I still chose you. We didn't talk much that night. For days it was like that. Quiet, careful. Like we were walking over broken glass. He tried. He cooked more. He asked if I wanted to come next time. I did. Because I didn't want to punish the child for his father's choices. Slowly I started to like him. He was funny. He'd draw me pictures. He called me Mai because Maya was hard. I started buying him things. Little cars, books. I helped with a school project once. It felt weird and right at the same time. But with every good moment, there was also the knowledge. He lied to me for years. We went to counseling. The therapist said, "He didn't cheat on you sexually, but he cheated on you emotionally. He kept a whole piece of his life secret. That breaks trust the same way." I said, "Can I ever trust him again?" She said, "Only if he gives you full transparency now." To his credit, Daniel did. He gave me access to his phone. He told Emma to text me too. He told his son's mother, her name was Laura, that I knew, and that I wanted to be involved. She texted me once, awkward but polite. She said, "Thank you for being kind to him." I said, "He's a great kid."
For a while I thought, maybe we can rebuild.
Then something else happened. About 3 months later, I was going through our bank statements because I wanted to make a budget. I saw a recurring transfer I didn't recognize. Not huge, but regular. Same name every month. L.F. Vargas, 350 euros. I asked Daniel, "What's this transfer?" I said. He looked at it, paused. "That's her," he said. "Laura." I said, "I thought she moved. I thought you said she didn't want anything." He said she doesn't. It's just, sometimes she needs help. I said, "Why didn't you tell me?" He said, "Because every time I tell you something else I didn't tell you, you look at me like I'm a stranger." I said, "Because you are when you hide things." We argued. Not screaming, but sharp. I said, "You don't get to lie by omission anymore." Not after this, he said. I'm not lying. I'm just trying to keep the peace. I said, that's what you said before. Look where that got us. That night I lay in bed and I realized something. I wasn't just hurt that he had a child. I was hurt that he'd taken away my right to choose my own life. If he had told me in the beginning, I would have had options. I could have said yes. I could have said not yet. I could have asked to meet him slowly. Instead, I was dropped into it at full speed with a 5-year-old who already loved my husband. And then another thought came, darker. What else hasn't he told me? Once that thought arrives in a marriage, it doesn't leave easily. A week later, I met with Liza. I told her everything. She said, "Girl, I'm sorry, but that's a huge betrayal." I said, "But he didn't cheat." She said, "He betrayed your trust." "That's enough," I said. "We're in therapy." She said, "Good. But don't stay just because you've already invested." I went home considering separation for the first time. The next visit with the boy, his name was Leo, I haven't said it till now, was at a park. He ran around, laughing, carefree. He fell once and I ran to him without thinking. I wiped his knee, kissed it. He looked at me like I was someone he could trust. My heart melted. I thought, I could be his stepmom. I could do this. I could love him. And then I looked at Daniel and I thought, but can I love you the same way again? Months passed like that. Good days, bad days, therapy, school visits, arguments over money, over Laura, over how long he hid it. We talked about having our own child, but every time we did, I felt a knot, because I still hadn't forgiven him. One night, almost a year after I found out, I said to him, "Be honest. If I hadn't found that text, when would you have told me?" He was quiet. Then he said, "Maybe, when we had our own kid." So, it wouldn't seem so shocking. I stared at him. "So you really were going to decide for me?" He said softly, "I didn't want to lose you." I said, "You lost parts of me anyway." That night I slept on the couch. In therapy, the counselor said, "Trust isn't only about not lying. It's about not depriving your partner of information they need to make choices." That sentence sat in my chest. I started imagining another life. Not because I didn't care about Leo. I did. But because I didn't want to spend the rest of my life trying to catch up to truths I should have been told in the beginning. I talked to my mom. She said, "Marriage is hard, but secrets make it harder. Your father had secrets. That's why we ended." That hit me hard, because I had fallen in love with Daniel partly because he wasn't like my dad, and now he was. I didn't leave right away. I didn't pack a bag in the middle of the night. Real life is slower. I stayed. We kept trying. We had good mornings. We had sex. We laughed. We went to school events. People probably thought we were a normal couple. But inside, something had cracked. The final push came from something small. It's almost silly. We were at dinner and his phone buzzed. He looked at it, smiled slightly, and put it back. Not face down, just back. I said, "Who was it?" He said, "Emma. Just reminding me about the spring fair." I said, "Can I see?" He hesitated for half a second. That was it. I said, "You're still managing information." He said, "No, it's just..." I said, "No. I can't keep doing this." I told him I wanted a separation. He cried. I cried. He said, "I love you." I said, "I love you too." "That's not the problem." He said, "We can fix it." I said, "We've been trying to fix something you broke a year ago." "I'm tired." I moved out. I stayed with Liza for 2 weeks, then found a small place. It wasn't as nice as our apartment. It was quiet. I cried a lot. I missed him. I missed Leo. That was the worst part, missing a child that wasn't mine. I asked if I could still see him. Daniel said yes, but it was awkward. I didn't want to confuse him. After a while, the visits got fewer. That broke my heart, too. People ask me, "Do you regret leaving?" I don't. What I regret is that he didn't tell me at the start, because I actually think I might have stayed. I might have said, "Okay, you have a son. Let's build around that." I might have been the stepmom from day one. We might have been a strange but happy family. What I can't accept is being treated like I couldn't handle the truth. Now, whenever I date, I tell a men, if there's something big, tell me in the beginning. I can handle the truth. I can't handle being managed. Sometimes I still think about Leo. He'd be older now. Maybe he doesn't remember me. Maybe he does. Maybe one day, if he ever asks, Daniel will tell him, "There was a woman who loved you for a while." And if you're listening to this and you're thinking about hiding something from your partner because you don't want to lose them, I'll tell you what I wish someone had told my husband. You don't protect love with lies. You just delay the breakup. I didn't expect the silence after leaving him to be so loud. People think when you separate, the hardest part is the argument, or the actual day you pack your things. It's not. The hardest part is the week after, when nobody is fighting you to come back, when you wake up in a new bed and realize nobody is going to walk in and say, "Okay, I was wrong. Let's fix it." It's just you and your choice. The first morning in the new apartment, I made coffee and instinctively took out 2 mugs. I stood there looking at them, feeling stupid, then put one back. I sat at the tiny table in a kitchen that didn't know me yet and cried. Not loudly, just steady, tired tears. Not even about Daniel, not only. About the life I thought I had, the family I almost got to keep, the boy I might not see grow up. I didn't text Daniel. He didn't text me. Not that day. I think we both knew we had to let it breathe or we'd just fall back into the same house with the same problem. On day 3, he texted, "How are you?" I stared at it a long time. Then I wrote, "Okay." He wrote, "He asked about you." I knew who he was without him saying it. My throat tightened. I typed, deleted, typed again. I finally sent, "Tell him I said hi." "Daniel, do you want to see him this weekend?" I stared again. I wanted to say yes so badly, but I also didn't want to keep walking in and out of a 5-year-old's life like a guest. I called Liza. "Am I horrible if I don't go?" I said. She said, "No. You're protecting yourself. And him. Until things are clear." I said, "But I miss him." She said, "You're allowed to miss him and still say no." I told Daniel, "Not this weekend. I need time." He just wrote, "Okay, I understand." He didn't argue. And that hurt more than if he had. I threw myself into work. I took on more projects. I stayed late. I met up with friends I hadn't seen in months. Everyone said the same thing. "You look tired." And I had no idea all this was going on. How would they have known? On Instagram, we looked perfect. About 2 weeks after I moved out, I got an email from Emma, the teacher. I was surprised. She wrote, "Hi, Maya. I just wanted to say that Leo talks about you a lot. I didn't want to overstep, but I thought you should know you made a good impression on him. Whatever is going on between you and Daniel, I hope it works out for all of you. Emma." I read it 3 times. Then I wrote back, "Thank you. I care about him a lot. Please tell him I said hi." She replied, "I will." And for what it's worth, I always thought Daniel should have told you sooner. That line stayed with me all day. I always thought Daniel should have told you sooner, so even people around him knew he was hiding me, or hiding me from that part of his life. That stung in a different way, because it meant other adults had watched my husband keep me in the dark, and nobody said anything. That Friday night, I was home watching some show I wasn't even paying attention to when there was a knock at my door. I froze. I wasn't expecting anyone. Liza always texted. My mom wouldn't come without calling. For a second, I thought, please don't be Daniel. I'm not ready to see him. I opened the door. It wasn't Daniel. It was a woman. Late 20s, maybe early 30s, hair in a loose bun, tired eyes, but pretty. She was holding the hand of a little boy. Leo. My heart jumped into my throat. "Leo," I said, then looked at her. "Hi," the woman said. "You must be Maya." I'm Laura." I hadn't met her in person, only texted. I just stared for a second like an idiot. Then I said, Oh, hi. Come in, please." They walked in. Leo let go of her hand and ran straight to me like we'd seen each other yesterday. "My," he said, hugging my legs. I bent down and hugged him, breathing in that warm kid smell, and my eyes burned. "I missed you," he said. "I missed you too," I said, voice shaking. I looked at Laura. "Is everything okay?" I asked. She looked uncomfortable. "Can we sit?" she said. We sat at my little table. I gave Leo some colored pencils and paper. He sat on the floor and started drawing like this was the most normal visit ever. "I'm sorry to show up like this," Laura said. "I got your address from Daniel." I nodded. "It's okay. Is Daniel okay?" She took a breath. "He's fine," she said quickly. "Don't worry. He's at home. He doesn't know I came, or he will, I'll tell him. I wanted to talk to you without him first." That made my heart beat faster. "Is something wrong with Leo?" I whispered, glancing at him. "No," she said. "Nothing like that. He's fine. It's just this whole situation. I made this mess years ago by not insisting he be present, and then he made it worse by hiding it from you. And now you're gone and—" She sighed. "And my son keeps asking where you are." I swallowed. "He likes you," she said. "He doesn't get attached easily. I think because of the way things started. But he talked about you to me on the phone. He said, 'Daddy's friend is nice.'" The word friend hurt, but I understood. Laura went on. "Look," she said, "I don't know what went on between you and Daniel exactly, but I know him. He panics and he hides. He did that with me too. He's not a bad dad. He's just ashamed." "Ashamed of what?" I said, feeling defensive. "Of his son." "Of me?" "Ashamed of messing up," she said simply. "Of being the guy who got someone pregnant and didn't do it right. I think when he met you, he didn't want you to see that version of him." "I would have understood," I said, louder than I meant to. Leo looked up. I smiled at him. He kept drawing. "I believe you," Laura said. "And maybe he believes it now, too. But it doesn't change that now there's a kid in the middle. And right now he lost a person he likes because two adults couldn't tell the truth. That stung. because it was true. I said, I left because of Daniel, not because of him. I know, she said, but he can't separate it like that. For him, Daddy plus Maya was one thing. I stared at the table. So what are you asking? She hesitated. Would you consider still seeing him? Even if you and Daniel don't get back together. That surprised me. You're okay with that, I said. I'm not family. You're his dad's wife, she said. Or, you were. You were in his life. Kids don't care about paperwork. They care about faces that show up. My boyfriend, the one I moved abroad for, he and I separated. So it's mostly me and Leo and Daniel now. And if you're willing to be one more stable face, I don't see why I should say no. You were kind to him. I care more about that than titles. I was so moved I almost cried. You're very generous, I said. She laughed a little. No. I'm just tired of adults making kids pay for our mess. We talked a bit more. I asked her about her life abroad. She said it didn't work out, that she'd come back because her sister couldn't keep helping with childcare. That Daniel had stepped up in a big way. He really loves that kid, she said, but that she could tell my leaving had shaken him. I said, he lied to me for years. I know, she said quietly. He lied to me too. Different lies, but same root. I think he thinks if he says it out loud, he'll lose people. I said he did. She nodded, accepting that. Before they left, Leo showed me his drawing. Me, him, Daniel. 3 stick figures holding hands. He'd written M-A-I almost correctly. I hugged him. You can come visit me any time, okay? I said. If Mommy says it's okay and Daddy says it's okay. Okay, he said. Can Daddy come too? I smiled sadly. Maybe. After they left, I sat on the floor and cried. It was the first time I cried, not from anger, not from betrayal, but from grief. For a family shape that almost existed. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. Daniel, I answered. She told you? I said. Yes, he said. He sounded nervous. Did she overstep? No, I said. She was honest. He was quiet a second. Then he said, I didn't expect her to go to you. I should have. You should have done a lot of things, I said, but not as harshly as before. He said, Did you like seeing him? I closed my eyes. Yes. He exhaled like he'd been holding his breath. He was so happy, he said. He said, I saw my. I smiled despite myself. Then he said, Maya, can we please talk? Not about getting back together. Just talk. I hesitated. Okay, I said. Tomorrow. Neutral place. We met at a cafe near the park. He looked tired, thinner. His eyes were red like he hadn't been sleeping well. There was no wedding ring on his hand. We'd both taken them off, but the tan line was there. First, he said, sitting down, thank you. For being good to him. You didn't have to. He's a kid, I said. None of this is his fault. I know, he said. He looked at me for a long time. I miss you. I looked down at my coffee. I miss you too, I admitted. That's not the problem. He nodded. I know, he said. I've been thinking a lot about why I did it, why I didn't tell you. And I kept coming back to the same thing. What? I asked. I didn't think I deserved you if I told you the truth, he said. I thought you'd look at me like I was one of those guys who just gets women pregnant and disappears. And I didn't want to be that in your eyes. You could have shown me who you really were now, I said. A man who stepped up later. A man who changed. I know, he said, but I was cowardly. We were both quiet. He said, I know I can't erase what I did. I know I took away your choice. I know I broke trust. I know I don't get to ask for everything back, but can we build something else? Even if it's different, even if it's slower. I looked at him. At the man who had wanted so badly to be good that he lied. At the man who made coffee for me. At the man who hugged his son like he was a miracle. At the man who hurt me. I don't know, I said truthfully. Part of me wants to go back. Part of me doesn't trust you. Part of me just wants peace. I can give you transparency, he said quickly. You can have passwords, locations, everything. It's not about catching you cheating, I said. It's about you deciding what I can handle. He nodded, eyes wet. Then I won't decide for you anymore, he said. You'll know everything. Even the ugly stuff. I stared at him. Is there more ugly stuff? I said. He laughed through his nose. No, he said. I think we reached the end of my stupidity. I couldn't help but smile. He saw it and his eyes lit up just a little. I miss that, he said softly. We didn't get back together that day. It wasn't a movie. We didn't kiss in the rain. We just talked for 2 hours. About our childhoods. About fear. About how my dad leaving had made me hyper-aware of abandonment. About how his dad staying but being cold had made him terrified of disappointing people. About how both our wounds met in the worst way. After that, we started seeing each other once a week. Not as husband and wife, as 2 people trying. We went to therapy together still. We talked about practical things, money, visitation, how to tell Leo the truth eventually. One day, in therapy, the counselor said, "You both keep talking about trust like it's an object you can repair and it'll look the same. It won't. You have to build new trust, not restore the old one." That helped me. So we built new trust. He told me every time he sent money to Laura. He showed me messages from Emma. He started bringing me along to school. Things again, slowly. Once Leo got used to seeing me more. I started sleeping over sometimes. I kept my apartment. I wanted to have something that was mine. 6 months after I left, he proposed again. Not with a ring, not on his knee. We were in the kitchen of our old apartment. I'd just put Leo's drawing on the fridge. Daniel came up behind me, wrapped his arms around me and said, "Marry me again." For real this time, with everything on the table. I turned, surprised. "We're still married," I said. "I know," he said, "but not really. Not in the way I want us to be. I want vows that include him, that include Laura existing, that include all the messy parts. I want you to say yes to the real me, not the one I edited." I looked at him, at the man who'd finally stopped hiding. I said, "I need to think." He said, "Okay." I thought about it for a week. I talked to Liza, to my mom, even to Laura. Yes, I called her. I said, "If I go back, is that weird for you?" She laughed. "Maya." she said. "If you go back, that's the best thing for Leo. He adores you. And Daniel, he's better with you. Less panicked." I said, "What if he lies again?" She said, "Then you'll leave again. But at least this time you'll know you saw the whole situation before saying yes." That was the difference. The first time I'd said yes to half a story. Now I had the full one. So, I said yes. Not to the same marriage. That marriage was dead. I said yes to a new one, built on the ruins of the first. We didn't do a second wedding. We just went to the registry to update some things. We had dinner with both our mums, with Leo, with Laura too. Yes, she came because that's how weird and blended our life had become. We took a picture. In it, I'm standing next to Daniel, holding Leo's hand. On the other side is Laura. People who don't know the story would be confused. People who do know would see grace. Do I trust him 100% now? Number. I don't think I ever will in the same innocent way. Something broke and healed differently. But do I believe he's honest now? Yes. Because I see him choosing honesty even when it's awkward, even when it makes him look bad, even when he has to say, "I sent her money," or, "I can't come Friday because it's Parent Day." He says it all now. No more managing me. And the biggest proof? A year later, when he got a call that his dad was sick and he was scared, he didn't withdraw and pretend everything was fine. He came home and said, "I'm scared. I need you." That's what I wanted from the beginning. A partner who lets me into the messy parts, not just the pretty ones. People online love to say, "Once a liar, always a liar." I get it. But life isn't always that clean. Sometimes people lie out of malice, and sometimes they lie out of shame and fear. Both hurt. But the second kind can sometimes be repaired, if they're willing to actually face themselves. If you're listening to this because you found out something huge about your partner, and you're wondering if you should stay or go, I can't tell you. I left. Then I came back. Both were right for me at the time. What I can tell you is, don't stay in the fantasy version. Stay, if you stay, for the real one. The one with exes, with kids from before, with money sent to people you don't love, with past mistakes. If you can't love that version, it's not love, it's a dream. My story didn't end in divorce. It didn't end in a fairy tale either. It ended in something in between, a complicated, blended, honest family. Me, my husband, his son's mother, and maybe, someday, our own child. Not the picture I had at 27, but it's real. And now, finally, it's mine too. If you've listened this far, thank you for listening. If you'd like to hear more stories like this, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment and share your own stories with us too. We'd love to tell them here. You can also send your stories to us by email if you'd like us to share them in a future video.